want to talk to the people in the chat room and those who are watching who have not seen the Burns documentary and who have not seen the how they see us on Netflix. I didn't see those things first. This is why I have an open mind about this, because I did not see those movies first. I heard about them. I saw clips, but I didn't watch those things first. I looked at the case, what the officers were saying. I looked at the confessions. Then I went through the website, Central Park 5. Then eventually, I watched the Netflix series. And I say that because when you watch the actual confessions and everything first, and you see that Netflix series, you see all of the fucking lies in that Netflix series. One of the biggest things that you will notice is that during the interrogation, there was a lady talking to him all the time. When you watch the Netflix series, it's two guys putting pressure. You watch the Netflix series, you see a boy beat the fuck up because he was hit in the face with a helmet. You see the original interrogation, it's a small scratch, fingernail scratch on one boy's face. You listen to these interviews, they say it was no blood, no hair, no semen. Yeah, granted, the semen that was in the woman did not match those boys. But there was blood on those boys and their semen and hairs on them. We're going to go through this thing. And again, if you're curious enough to want to know the truth, you will look for it. Hit that like button, hit that share button. When you come in this space, you dig? You know? But yes. And then when you watch that Netflix series, you see how many times they keep mentioning Trump in the Netflix series. Came out 2019. Right around time of the election. You also notice that, okay, we've seen racism. But the racism in that movie was just over the top. As if black folks never worked at that police station. It was just unreal. You would swear that they were in Jim Crow South. The way that they painted the racism in that. And I'm talking about, okay, you got movies like Do the Right Thing. Hey, shout out to Great February, man. It's a fan-funded show, man. Y'all motherfuckers show some love. We about to get this shit kicked off. So the Central Park 5 dry humpers tried to penetrate the woman but couldn't get it up. That's not a tip to the great? Yeah. Great question. But they're black, so it doesn't matter. When you see movies like Do the Right Thing. That movie was just as racist as if you ever lived in Chicago. It was realistic racism. This was just over the top. It was it was really unbelievable, just the racial element that they painted in the fucking movie. Like, to overly use racial slurs, to overly use the word animals. Like, there were private conversations, you know what I'm saying, that they were having, and they were just like extra turned up for no reason. And I had to think, black woman wrote this damn movie. And who are the biggest agitators of racial tension in America right now? Black women and men who think like black women. The men who think like black women are the niggas that's calling the black woman God. You know, people, like, you gotta understand, man, Trump's got a really tough job that he's doing for free. None of this shit that he's going through, honestly, is not worth it for you niggas, man. He don't make no money doing this shit. And every movie, every time his name come out, they just threw his whole legacy to shit and made this man the worst of the KKK, as if he's killed somebody or ordered the killing of someone. They hate Trump more than they hate Bin Laden, Jeffrey Dahmer. You know, this is crazy. Y'all acting like y'all heard him on tape like Mel Gibson. People forgot about Mel Gibson. You got none of that. You know? It's all fabrication. It's like, fam, he wasn't even running. He wasn't even in political office at the time. He was the guy who was a realtor, real estate investor, developer, building skyscrapers with an opinion. He just had an opinion enough to put his money where his mouth is. But the agenda is so crazy. You know, he getting sued left and right and all of this because of media propaganda. You know? This is just retarded. You know, and I'm glad I looked at things in the order that I looked at them. Because if you see the interviews, how descriptive they are, how they're correcting the police. No, you got it wrong. You remember when I showed you Kevin standing up and describing it? That's not coercion. It's not a false confession. You're literally telling the police, take the back of your pen, your pencil, scratch that out, and put this in. Kevin and Yusuf, Corey and Yusuf didn't get caught at the park. They didn't get caught at the park. They got caught at the crib. So somebody had to tell on them They picked up 37 people and not them. Like the shit that we're fed. We want black heroes so bad that we'll just manufacture some that aren't worthy of the praise that they're getting. This is a slap in the face. The phone calls, all these things, these guys have not been asked any real questions from real media. It's all fluff questions to make them seem like heroes. Nobody ever digs into the case. They let them tell their side. No cops were fired. And I'm still trying to wrap my head around, how do you, and I got to talk to somebody in law enforcement, how do you handle a situation? Let's say there's a murder and there's a bunch of minors that are the suspects, and you can't get in touch with their parents. And their parents are not showing up. What are you to do? And there were plenty of other victims in that park. There were robberies, there were muggings. There were assaults with deadly weapons. And everybody keeps telling on Yusuf. And Yusuf didn't get caught by the police. There. They came and got him. So, again, we're going to walk this thing down slow. You know? Because I got the hotel community mad at me because I'm not buying the bullshit. I don't buy the bullshit. This is bullshit. How long do you hold them? Until the parents show up. I'm just trying to get understanding. You know? In Chicago, they try 15-year-olds like adults. I don't know. But you certainly have the right to remain silent. You have the right to remain silent. I mean, what do you do? What do you do with a underage homeless kid with no family living on the streets, and they are suspects, and they have no guardians? You know, what do you do? And I think the best case scenario was the recordings. But then you got to ask yourself, why did the courts? There's obviously something that we don't know that we think we know because we think we the law. We think we know that, like, there isn't any loophole to get around that. Unless any of us in here are lawyers. Because something had to make that shit legit with the confessions, because if what everybody is saying, they did not have parents in the room. Okay, we have videos with no parents there. Those confessions should be inadmissible. But they were used. So there's obviously something that we don't know about law that is allowing that to be used. But all we can do is walk through this shitload of evidence, you know what I'm saying, that at best they beat that woman. At best, they beat her unconscious. They are at least responsible. Whatever happened to her, she could have got ran over by a car. They are responsible. So let's just walk it through, man. Again, they are making this, niggas are more invested on finding a way to implicate Trump in this, which I mean, once everybody's seen it in the media, I'm pretty sure every black person in neighborhoods, even when you listen to these people, they were saying like they were going to church and the people in their own neighborhood, when they were going to school and, during the trial, the ones that got bail, were still demonized. So what is Trump? Why are you holding Trump this high on some moral ground that he can't have an opinion, but everybody in your immediate community thought you did it too? Everybody in their immediate community said these kids were knuckleheads. They said, like, fam, they didn't get this abundance of love during the trial. Not from everybody. There were black folks that didn't believe that shit either, of their innocence. They're not hunting them down. And slandering their name because of the facts being presented to them and making their assumption. Like to this day, I can't unsee and unread what I've read, and I'm talking about the phone calls. There's just even the phone calls from jail that were recorded. When you go to the Central Park website, you look at the transcripts of those jail calls and you listen to them. It's like, are you fucking serious? These are some of the dumbest criminals ever. So I'm just not buying this shit. Boys ain't innocent. Not in my book, man. But you're free to think what you think. But they wasn't coerced, man. They was trying to get out of that shit. And they talked their way into some bullshit. And it's not wrong for cops to lie. People don't understand. I know this for a fact. I got cops in my family and I speak to cops. It is completely legal when interrogating you for a cop to lie to you. They say, look, man, just tell us who did it, man. You can go home, bro. You know who we want. We want the motherfucking big fight. Just tell us who, man. We gonna make sure you straight. You gonna go home. For real, I'm gonna go home. Yeah, man. Like, you a good kid, man. And we just don't want to see them that they are legally able to lie to you. It's completely legal. That's what people don't understand. You think that, oh, he said it on camera. He said he's gonna give me a deal. No. That shit ain't in writing, notarized. You know what I'm saying? Negotiated with an attorney. This nigga just talking. They are legally able to manipulate the conversation to get your ass to keep talking. That's the game. And we ain't talking about no angels here, man. These is niggas from the street, man. These nigga kids, man. Come on, man. We knew the rules of the streets when we was young. You know? The police said freeze, you knew to run. You know what I'm saying? Like, motherfuckers kill me with this crazy shit. But it's just, all of this is just a way to try to blame Trump. And it's all bullshit. Let's go.
Get something done.
See, I respect Trump for standing on business because a lot of motherfuckers would be apologizing and shaking hands with them niggas. You know? Like, you got to think about it. This is a bad look for him not apologizing. He got a lot on the line right now. He ain't apologizing because deep down he's standing his grounds. He believes they did that shit. Like, I think that Trump is a real prideful motherfucker. I think even when they do the transfer of power, I don't see Trump shaking Kamala or Biden's hand. I don't see him shaking their hand. Real talk. I seen him do it to Nancy Pelosi. She tried to shake his hand, he waved her ass off. That nigga stand his ground.
Maybe hate is what we need if we're going to get something done.
I felt like they might take us to the back of the precinct and kill us.
And I got a real problem with that motherfucker. He is the main one. He is the main one, man. That's the crazy part. He's the main one. All the motherfuckers kept naming his ass. He got all the weapons and all this shit. You know? I'm just waiting for him to slip up drunk with a bitch or something. And the bitch get his ass on tape. Man, we got their ass, man. Yeah, man, we did that shit.
This is a hugely important story. I wish I could tell you it was unique, that 5 Black and Hispanic boys were arrested.
This guy, we're going to find out how he did this. He did his documentary to help them get some money. And I'm sure they broke him off with some of that money. Again, you guys got to understand the power of media. That's why they try to suppress stories like this. And these documentaries that I'm showing y'all are not as popular as they should be. They should be at 10 million views. You got to search for that shit.
Arrested for a crime they didn't do and sent away for a crime they didn't do.
There's more views on the movie than the actual confession tapes. Every nigga speaking on this did not take 2 hours to watch one of them confessions. But they want to demonize me. You niggas are crazy.
But unfortunately, it's all too common in the United States. And so the Central Park 5 has to be emblematic for a lot of other people whose stories aren't told.
See, if the police had to come and get two niggas, that means some niggas told their name and where they lived. This motherfucker Corey tried to say he wasn't even in the park. Yeah, all right, nigga. Now that I gotta really watch that shit again, because what they did with Anthony McRae, and I really you really don't see Anthony McRae with them a lot, and they don't really talk about him much, and they depicted his father as his father coerced him to say all that shit. I'm curious to hear what his father said. I seen something with the Puerto Rican dude father, but see, they all paid off, man. At this point, they going along. Let's just go through this, man. But this motherfucker right here, he got a lot of explaining to do, man. Why everybody say you got these weapons? Yeah, Raymond said Tanner's family. They barely spoke English at the time. You know. And they left his ass up there. His dad left his ass up there to go to work.
There was a orange-haired real estate developer in New York at the time of...
I'm telling you, they ran so much propaganda on Trump, man. You couldn't even focus on an election, man. What the fuck does the Central Park Five have to do with this nigga running for president? They were just trying to find anything.
The Central Park jogger case, who took out full-page ads in all the daily newspapers asking for the return of the death penalty and more police.
And he didn't make $1 off that shit. That's something he was compelled to do. Shit, if I had billions and I could put rapists on blast, I would do the same thing.
Of course I hate these people. And let's all hate these people, because maybe hate is what we need if we're going to get something done.
And he believed that these children should be executed, even though, of course, even the return of the death penalty would disqualify the execution of children. It was horrific then, it's horrific to hear it now.
And it's more than anger, it's hatred. And I want society to hate him.
And they surely did. They did. Listen, they were catching hell in the neighborhood from their own black folks. You know what I'm saying? Only the motherfuckers that was rocking with them was them Al Sharpton ass motherfuckers who could profit and boost their career off this shit. They got a lot of pro bono lawyers and shit who wanted to be in this high profile case. You know? But every one of them lawyers was shitty. One of them was, I believe, a divorce lawyer. You know what I'm saying? So they wasn't getting like top-notch lawyers. They was just picking shit. Every move that they made was just calculatedly stupid. You know? It was just crazy, man. It's nuts.
We should be talking about it, talking to the now men who went through this. And
everybody on the blue channel, man, come on over here to the red channel, man. I'm just trying to test things with this algorithm, seeing what's happening, man. Come on over to Minister Jap Network, man. Let's go. Shut that shit down. Let's see y'all. Come on over to the church, nigga.
Always having our ear to the ground to this pernicious racism in our country that exists, despite the fact that we know in our hearts that you judge a person by the content of their character and not by the color of their skin. I'm quoting Dr. Martin Luther King.
Oh, that's he knows Martin Luther King.
we should admit to something that we didn't do.
Okay, we keep fighting.
If I were starting off today, I would love to be a well-educated black because I really believe they do have an actual advantage today.
That devil.
When you watch this damn movie, they just keep, like, they have these moments where they just continuously highlight Trump, and they in the house in the 90s hating on Trump. You know, so that's how I know that they used this film to help. The Democrats were behind this film.
Wants to kill my son. You gonna take an ad out about killing my son?
You know what's so crazy, man? They really don't interview the lady much, man. I seen a couple of interviews. It was more of a trauma, but they really never ask her how she feels about these niggas. They really don't ask her. I was looking for that, but we're gonna get into it. So yeah, it just make it seem like they are some modern day Emmett Tills. I'm not buying it, bro. I don't buy that shit, bro. You know, them little niggas is wild, man. Them little niggas is wild. But you gotta really have an open mind, man. And again, let's go back to the black detective, because everybody tries to make it seem like it was just all white folks. When you watch that Netflix series, everybody working the case was white. They have to make it white versus black, or it won't, you know, it won't get your attention. You know, it won't get your attention. Let's go, man.
Last night, the Republican is Steve Cortez, one of the few Republican commentators still at CNN. The accusers / hosts are Van Jones and Chris Cuomo.
He's getting hit from the left on it, Van. But here's how Biden should handle this. He should just say, listen, we did the best we could at that time. When I was in the Obama administration had good ideas on legislation, didn't get it passed, got stopped by Republicans, but also good ideas on the administration, our department ditch, and wanting to fight over that.
Central Park 5.
But he says, ignored the premise of my initial question, which was, okay, Donald Trump has never apologized. I always call him Mr. President, but I'm talking about him then as a citizen. He wasn't president then, obviously, back in the late 80s. He's never apologized for it. He thinks they still did it. I can't believe that Trump has never apologized.
Listen, he don't get no props in today's liberal social media public.
Trump has never apologized
for still believing this shit, still believing what it is. He's standing on it. If he was just any old politician, all he had to do was just denounce the shit and lie and pretend like, you know, oh, I made a mistake. He would damn near apologize. He ain't doing none of that shit. Y'all understand? He's not doing none of that shit. He's standing firm on some business.
Do and what he wants to do, the more he can win. But no matter what, this is good for the country. Both parties being proud of backing us out of this ditch and wanting to fight over that is a good thing. And
yeah, if that's what it is. I don't know that that's what it is. I mean, I get what the first step is, but I think it's aptly named. It's one step. And again, Steve, let me bounce back to you because you ignored the premise of my initial question, which was, okay, Donald Trump has never apologized. I always call him Mr. President, but I'm talking about him then as a citizen. He wasn't president then, obviously, back in the late 80s. He's never apologized for it. He thinks they still did it. I can't believe that he believes that.
Referring to the Central Park Five.
But he says it. Okay. And I don't know why he feels that he can have high ground on this with what he did back then.
Chris, I would love to get into all the facts of that night of what happened with the Central Park Five, because they are not nearly as exculpatory.
All they had were their confessions.
As you might want to believe they are. No, they're not.
See, no white man can question this. But I'm a black man, and we got black men that are questioning this. So first thing that they're going to say is you're a sellout. You're voting for Trump. That's why you're doing this. Like, motherfucker, I'm tired of getting lied to and going along with you idiots. Like I said, analyzing everything. Yes, they may not have penetrated, but they tried. If you were coerced, why would the cops coerce you to say you tried? When they know they didn't catch the sixth guy, they know none of y'all semen match, but they gonna keep pushing the fact that they gonna accept you. Listen, if they're gonna get a real confession out of you, they gonna want you to say you did this shit. Not tried, not held it down, not humped on her, not played with her. They gonna say you did. They gonna say, no, you need to tell us you did this shit. You did this shit. They wouldn't accept the little humping and all that. Y'all volunteered that information because that's what happened. They wanted to get you on rape. They wouldn't be trying. They wouldn't have accepted the fake shit that you talking about. Oh, I couldn't get it up and all that. They're like, no, tell them you did do that. Tell them you did go all the way up in them. That's a real confession. This ain't even a confession. This is just the interrogation of them telling the events that happened and them trying to diminish their roles. A real coerced confession, they're not going to let you diminish your role. You know? Was the Tostada say they still beat this woman, held her down, and fondled her. That's not being innocent. Yes, but again, this, like I say, this topic is not going to be popular amongst black folks because they are so invested in the lie.
Where they put him. Now watch as Van Jones refuses to allow the Republican to even make the case that the Central Park Jogger Five were in fact guilty. Van Jones won't even let him articulate his position. Listen to this.
Separate rooms, and I read the books on it. I lived it.
I know the facts very well. Now listen, hold on a second. Hold on a second. And at best,
that's exactly how they did me. That's exactly, and that's the passion of a stupid ass Democrat. I like to hear both sides. I'm a seeker of the truth. These conscious black power niggas always talk about, we got the bill, let's have a bill, shut the fuck up, build these nuts. Because you emotional motherfuckers don't want to hear anything but the narrative that you're invested in.
You can't just say no 1,000 times and not let me talk.
Another guy's DNA was on the victim.
I'm not going to sit up here and let you lie.
Correct. And that was never in dispute, Chris.
So he hasn't even got to say anything. You're saying that he didn't see any evidence and sees this evidence a different way? And you're not allowed to think different around Democrats. That's the crazy part. You're not allowed to.
I'm not lying, Chris. That was never in dispute at trial. The prosecutor, in closing arguments, said, yes, the actual rapist, the person who did the physical insertion, is not here on trial. That was established from the very beginning. You could be convicted of rape, even if you are not the one who did the actual raping.
Now, on your
so they get 5 kids, and none of them was the...
And they didn't even get convicted of actual rape. They got convicted of it's another charge. I forgot. It's like some misconduct or something. It was something. We're gonna go through it. I don't want to quote it just yet because I know these niggas can't wait to be like, see, you know,
the one who did the rape
of yourself to be on air.
Shout out to my brother Royce, man. He said these the same goofies that believe women can produce sperm in their spinal column with their Y chromosome. Yeah, man, you can't. You just gotta be amused. Shout out to Miriam, man. Appreciate you, Miriam, for holding this shit down. Van Jones' wrist broke in 3 places for real. Shout out to Craig, man. And shout out to Young OZ with the $1 over there on Rumble. I see you, man. Yeah, man, these niggas without a Y chromosome.
You sound like the president. Who did the rape? No, none of those 5 guys.
Terrible.
With those 5.
Terrible.
And then he says, the woman is going to have to live with this, and it's terrible.
That night.
Now he's using the victim's tragedy.
Can I talk?
No, but you can't pervert the facts. You can talk, but you can't pervert the facts. Go ahead. Don't say what's not true. Go ahead.
A fact is that it was never a predicate at all. The prosecutor at the time did not say that the DNA, that the semen was from one of those 5.
Man.
They didn't even bring it to trial. They didn't introduce DNA at the trial.
The best case scenario, not DNA, semen. That's why I said something different. DNA was not in use at that time.
It was in its early stages.
The best case scenario. But it was not acceptable at that point in New York court. It was not acceptable yet. Here's the best case scenario for those 5. The best case scenario is that. Can I talk? Did you bring me on to talk?
Nope, not on this. I'm not going to.
So I can't talk. So I'm not allowed to. I'm not allowed to review the facts of the case.
Nope, I don't agree with what you're saying. You're not even allowed to say it.
Because the facts of the case, Van, the facts of the case.
What they do, man. This is what they do. This is why I tell you. This is a good example of why, it's almost pointless. Let me deal with the Democrats, man, with the arguing with them, man. Because you go on to work every day. Don't frustrate yourself with these clowns, man. I signed up for this shit. Don't frustrate yourself with these clowns. Shout out to Miriam holding down the chat, supporting us with the $20 holler. Salute. Much love to Miriam. Appreciate you. Let's go.
Are that in the best case, if you put them in their absolute best light, they committed heinous acts of violence that night in the park.
All right, let's end it there.
This is how logic sounds in the midst of a Democrat. It's always an argument. They don't know when to just shut the fuck up and let the other person speak.
We can talk about the 94 but until you guys decide
I'm not going to even let you say it. Not going to let you do it. Not going to let you say what you have to say. Sorry.
Trump owned what he said.
Assaults that night, and that is
they were railroaded, and you should be ashamed of yourself, Steve.
They were railroaded. You know it. You're protecting the president. Steve. You're doing it on the backs of kids. They got paid $41 million for a reason. This is why.
I would love to never take the stain off with you about the facts of that case.
I don't know because I know them cold. You don't know.
I interviewed Ann Coulter about the Central Park 5. We're going to revisit that interview in just a few minutes. About the Central Park jogger, President Trump maintains that they're guilty. They were, quote, exonerated, close quote, by a judge. Ann Coulter insists that they are still guilty. She and I had a conversation about that last year. I've had a very interesting discussion with... I ain't
gonna lie, Ann Coulter keeps it real, man. She keeps that shit a buck.
Sandra, my caller, and kept her over.
Yo, shout out to Rob, bro. Hey, Rob, bro, I fuck with you, man. My bad, I didn't mean to send that damn message to you. It was my other motherfucking partner, Rob, man. I know you're looking like, what the fuck is Jap sending me this shit for? But appreciate you, though, on the Cash App with the 12, my nigga. Shout out to Rob.
rarely do that. And she was listing all the things about Trump that she dislikes, including his assertion that the Central Park Five are in fact guilty, even though the state of New York has said that they are exonerated them and even paid them about $50 million. And I pointed out to her that Ann Coulter had written extensively about this. She wrote about it in her book, Demonic, How the Liberal Mob is Endangering America. Also, we posted her column called Central Park Rapist, Trump Was Right, which she wrote back in July of this year. Please welcome to the program, Ann Coulter.
I like the audience cheering, Larry. That's excellent.
You got it. Ann Coulter was editor of the Michigan Law Review. What a fine...
I ain't gonna lie to you, man. Democrats and feminist women hate Ann Coulter, nigga. They hate her. Single mothers hate her, too.
Law school, you and I went there together, although a few years apart. She also attended Cornell. She also clerked for an appellate judge. Ann Coulter, very, very impressive. You've written extensively about the Central Park Five. However, Ken Burns put out a documentary and says that they were railroaded, that the confessions were forced, and they, in fact, had nothing whatever to do with the assault on the Central Park jogger.
See, that's why, for those who are in here who have not watched that movie, don't watch it until you watch all of the confessions and go through the Central Park 5 website and the Central Park Jogger Accuser website. And then just in this documentary I'm going to show you, because we're going to run through this tonight. We're going to be here for a minute. After you see all those things, then go watch it and be like, well, the real videos got a woman interviewing them, but the movie's got two white guys pressuring them. You know, this helmet in the face don't match up to this picture of this boy sitting there confessing. Where's this big swollen eye? You don't see any of that in the real shit, but you see all that crazy shit in the movie.
Yes, and now I'm reconsidering his entire Civil War series. I mean, you may have gotten that wrong, too. When his daughter talked him into this, she is so familiar with the case that in an indignant, impassioned New York Times op-ed recently, or that is to say last July, she got the name of the prosecutor of the case wrong. Mm-hmm. No, I mean, if you only read the New York Times version 13 years later, yeah, they can make anybody look innocent. Remember, there was a case, before I get right into Central Park case, remember there was a famous case of a guy on death row from West Virginia, championed all over. There were last-minute appeals to, it must have been Virginia, not West Virginia, because I believe it was Governor Doug Wilder who said, look, okay, we'll take a DNA test. Anyway, they finally get the DNA test.
We lost her. Well, hopefully she will call back. Ann, do I have you?
I have no idea what just happened. I assume it was the Broward County election officials fiddling with my phone line. But I'll make this quickly. Anyway, he was on the cover of Time magazine, and with the question, innocent? When the Innocence Project goes to him and says, hey, great news, we're going to get your DNA tested. He's about to go to be executed. He says, yeah, I'm not really that interested in having DNA tested. That's okay. Thanks, I'm innocent. And of course, after he's executed, they're so excited about this. If you read the media accounts, you would think there is no way this guy did it. They test the DNA, and yep, he's the one who raped and murdered his sister-in-law. Mm-hmm. In any event, it's the...
See, and this is another reason why I think that the Central Park 5 should shut up. Because one day, if they still alive, one day, when the New York courts turn more conservative and get some people in there with some logical sense and some real fair judges that ain't one-sided, somebody gonna reopen that case. Some young prosecutor is gonna go digging into that case. Because now DNA is flawless. Somebody gonna reopen that shit. to try to make a name for themselves. And they may not like what they find. It would have been best for them niggas to get the fuck low and shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up! Same thing with the media accounts of what happened in the Central Park case. The central sleight of hand that's confusing to people is that none of the 5, I think, convicted young men in the attack, none of their DNA was found on the jogger. The reason that's a sleight of hand is DNA was a brand new science back then. Cops wouldn't even be collecting for it in most jurisdictions.
Exactly. That's why with murders, all you had to do was just wipe your prints off and wear gloves. You know? That's why motherfuckers was getting away with so much shit, the mafia and all that. No prints, none of that. They didn't care about nothing else. Just all they had was fingerprints and eyewitnesses. You know? You can't even sneeze in a room. Shit, now they got something worse than DNA. We got cameras. I suggest no nigga do any type of crime now, nigga. Niggas is getting locked up for doorbells. Doorbell cams is getting niggas, man. You know? Doorbells.
It's amazing that they only got 2 spots of it, one on her cervix, one on her sock. It had only been admitted in a court, any court in the United States, a couple of years earlier. I think it was earlier that year was the first time DNA evidence was ever used in a New York court for criminal purposes. I mean, DNA existed. It wasn't used for crimes. Is that none of the 5, I think, convicted young men in the attack, none of their DNA was found on the jogger. The reason that's a sleight of hand is DNA was a brand new science back then. Cops wouldn't even be collecting for it in most jurisdictions. It's amazing that they only got 2 spots of it, one on her cervix, one on her sock. It had only been admitted in a court, any court in the United States, a couple of years earlier. I think it was earlier that year was the first time DNA evidence was ever used in a New York court.
And that's the thing, too. People are going about this case with the mindset of how we see cases now. You got to understand DNA was new. It was not perfected the way it is now. That's why they was able to prove that there wasn't their DNA as of recently. But the other... What I'm saying, that's why I said, I will give you saying, yeah, they didn't do the rape. But the effort that they put in to try to do it, as well as the beating, I'm not letting you get off the hook with that. They beat that woman. They went out to the park and they went wilding. Shout out to Gibbs. Gives me that. Okay, I see you with the 5 on the Cash App.
For criminal purposes. I mean, DNA existed. It wasn't used for crimes before that. So how did police get their men, so to speak? They did it through traditional police methods. They arrested, there was wilding going on that night throughout Central Park. There were people being mugged, attacked, paralyzed, brain damage for life. For one thing, the cops didn't even know there had been a rape. Some of the defendants, when they're being driven to the precincts, would tell the cops, yeah, okay, I was there, but I didn't rape her. And, the cops' eyes are widening. They hadn't found the jogger's body yet.
Exactly. They don't mention, these niggas who argue with you about that won't mention that because they have not dug into this case. They were most of them was getting picked up, what we call, what we used to call, you got picked up on the humble. This is like, yeah, tell your parents to come pick you up from the station. You out here acting a fool. Nobody pressing charges. Disorderly conduct. You might get a $50 ticket or something like that. Some little stupid shit like that. That's the humble. That's the getting picked up on the humble. Ask you some questions about some shit. You smoke weed. No. Okay, fine. You gonna be here? It's like a scare tactic that they do with kids. It's kind of scare you straight. Just a little humble. But they were going, y'all started admitting all this extra shit. What? A lady in the park? The hell?
Of the 37 kids who were arrested and brought in for the wilding.
What kind of question is this? Jap, you back live? You didn't ask that, man. You didn't ask that. You didn't ask that. No, you didn't. That's that Android spirit. What's the rumble? I can't, man. Niggas just be asking any old questions. He was playing, y'all. Don't do it too dirty, y'all. Don't do it too dirty, man. Shout out G Buddy, man. Don't do it too dirty, man.
Only 5 of them were convicted for the rape of the jogger. Why those 5? Because those 5 all confessed. 4 of the 5 on videotape, all of them in the presence of a parent or other adult relative. And they gave details of the case that no one other than someone who was there would know. Many of them led police to the scene of the crime. But one striking example, I won't go through all of it, one striking example, and you can look up their interviews and the testimony. It's all available online now. One said some guy named Rudy stole the jogger's Walkman. Well, no one knew.
Yeah, that's Mateus. See, y'all have got to fucking get into this case, man. I'm gonna show y'all some things. Then I want y'all to go back and watch that dumbass fucking Netflix shit. And then come back and report to me. Send me an email, be like, you know what, Jap? It's fucking right. And every time I tell some black folks this shit, they curse me out.
That the jogger even had a Walkman until Mateus Reyes confessed many years later. Yeah, he was one of the ones who got away. They knew that at the time, that both juries knew that there were other rapists, and they knew that there were none of the 5 defendants' DNA was on the jogger. They knew there were other rapists. They knew that others got away. That was said in closing argument. Mateus Reyes was one of the ones who got away. He admitted, whatever it was, 20 years later, yeah, I stole the jogger's Walkman. Also remember that none of the defendants, the cops or anyone else, knew whether the jogger was going to emerge from her coma and say, these are the guys who did it. That's when they were gathering all of these confessions in the presence of an adult.
And we're going to take a break right here. I want you to pick it up on the other side. I also want to know what motivated him to confess. Ann Coulter and I will be talking about the Central Park 5. Do not leave town. We will pick that up on the other side. Again, all sorts of evidence suggesting that the Central Park 5 were in fact involved in the attack, if not the rape of the Central Park jogger. This exoneration was BS. Ann Coulter is quite right about the Ken Burns series. It was his daughter who argued that the 5 were railroaded, and Ken Burns somehow got convinced of it. Never mind the police report. The NYPD report that was commissioned in 2003. New York Times headline, January 28, 2003, boy's guilt likely in rape of jogger, police panel says. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes. My concluding interview with Ann Coulter, who...
Listen, again, this is not the Jim Crow South. We're talking about New York, a melting pot full of tethers and immigrants of all backgrounds, even Puerto Rican police, you know, a lot of Italians, black people, Caribbean people, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, it was not just white cops at that precinct. Wasn't a white, it was a black detective working the case. But they're not going to show you that in that movie, man.
Says that President Trump is right about the guilt of the Central Park 5.
You better believe that I hate the people that took this girl and raped her brutally. You better believe it. And it's more than anger, it's hatred. And I want society to hate them.
That is an ad that Donald Trump took out in 1989. And recently, Jennifer Rubin for the Washington Post listed Trump's alleged lies and racist comments and said this, quote, Trump called for the death penalty for the so-called Central Park 5, insisting on their guilt even after DNA evidence exonerated them. I'm talking to Ann Coulter about this. She's written extensively about this in her book, Demonic. We also posted a column that she wrote back in July of 2018 about the same subject. Okay, Ann Coulter, why does this guy confess? Why does he say he did it alone? And how does that lead to exoneration? And how does that lead to these men getting $50 million from your estate?
Great question. Two motives need to be answered here. One is his motive in confessing, and the media's motive in...
Didn't I tell you it was a motive why he confessed? I told y'all. We're going to get into it, and I'm going to show and prove it to y'all. You know what I'm saying? But Mateus confessed because Corey became a high-ranking blood member in the jails. You know what I'm saying? And he wanted protection. Mateus is in there as a freakazoid. You know what I'm saying? He's not respected in the jails. He's a target everywhere he goes, but he's definitely a target to Corey because Corey knows that he was there and he didn't get caught for that. He came up with the plot to take the whole case. Might as well eat the case. You're going to be here for life because he's already been convicted of several rapes before. He raped his own mother in order to get the Bloods and shit off of him. Bloods and the Muslims off of him. All right.
In lying and getting 5 guilty men out of jail and handing them $50 million. His motive, as is often the case in these 11th hour confessions, is, for one thing, he was serving life in prison. He faced no additional penalty. The statute of limitations on...
Exactly. He gets no additional penalties. Statute of limitations is up. So he can confess to all types of shit he did. There ain't nothing they can do. And they don't have a death penalty in New York.
Rape had run, even if he weren't serving life in prison. So there was no way he was going to even have a cupcake taken away from him for confessing. He had recently been moved to one of the Central Park rapists' cell blocks. Kerry Wise is the guy's name. Kerry Wise was then, at that point, leading like a big prison gang, and he requested to be, Mateus Reyes, the one whose DNA was found on the jogger, requested to move out of the prison to get away from Kerry Wise. He got his transfer. He was undoubtedly the toast of the cell block, sticking it to the man, sticking it to the police, sticking it to the justice system. That makes you a hero in prison. And again, no penalty whatsoever for quote, confessing and claiming he acted alone. His cellmate, incidentally, says that Mateus Reyes, the one whose DNA was found, told him, I heard some woman screaming in Central Park and I went to join the fun, which is probably what happened. He wasn't part of their gang, but he heard the screaming going on.
Exactly. Nobody's talking about his cellmate or what his cellmate was saying. A lot of these cold cases get solved by cellmates. And when they wire cells up. A lot of these cases get caught up with that. Because a lot of stupid niggas don't think that they got the bullpen rigged. They be in there talking about their case and shit with another motherfucker. You be in there for a motherfucking, you say they book you for a body, you go in there, and then it's just some other running motherfucker they throw in there in the bullpen with you. You know what I'm saying? They just sitting down like they got a real case. The whole time they informant. They get to blabbing about their case and then want you to tell you to tell them about your case. They use that shit on your ass too, man. It's a lot of tricks, man.
Why is the media so obsessed with this? Well, I have a whole chapter on the Central Park rape in my book, Mugged, and
we just have 60 seconds left, so I think you get the point. Just a few more things about the Central Park 5. There's a piece in the Daily Beast by Edward Conlon. Edward Conlon was a detective with the NYPD, and he wrote a piece called The Myth of the Central Park 5. And says, did they all involve false confessions, which is the argument right now? They were so intimidated, so scared that they confessed to crimes they didn't commit, even though their parents were there, their rights were read, they confessed. Here's what Conlon, ex-NYPD detective, said. This is in October of 2014. Testimony was what made this case. chiefly the confessions of young men. Santana, McCrae, and Richardson made video statements in the presence of a parent or guardian, and Wise made several statements on his own as the law permits. Salam told the police he was 16 and produced...
Oh. So Corey decided to do it on his own, but Corey, again, I was talking to Sinetta, he was 16. In their state, they consider you an adult at 16. You can waive the right. What he was trying to do was be forthcoming and thought he was going to talk his way out of the situation, but talked his way in. That's why Corey got the 13 years and the other motherfuckers got 7. Corey was the only real adult charged. So when I showed y'all a clip of him sitting down with the picture, like, oh, his parents ain't there. His parents don't have to be there. He waived that.
ID to that effect, allowing police to interrogate him without a parent. After his mother arrived and it was found out that he was not at 16, the questioning ended. Edward Conlon.
That's another thing. When they took his ID, he had doctored his ID. This is Yusuf. His ID said he was 16. He was actually 15. His excuse was he lied on his ID to try to get girls. So that ain't the cops' fault that these kids is fucking liars. And they sat his ass down and interrogated him like a grown man doing grown shit. Let's go.
To the man, sticking it to the police, sticking it to the justice system, that makes you a hero in prison. And again, no penalty whatsoever for quote, confessing. And
even the movie shows that Yusuf lied on his ID. When the police came to their house, when him and Corey was allegedly standing outside the house, but for the real story I heard, they was in the apartment. But either way, the police came to get them. Came to get Yusuf. And the story that Corey says he tagged along because he didn't want his friend to go up there by himself. He thought he was going to finesse and talk everybody out of this shit. No. He talked himself into everything.
Claiming he acted alone. His cellmate, incidentally, says that Mateus Reyes, the one whose DNA was found, told him, yeah, I heard some woman screaming in Central Park and I went to join the fun, which is probably what happened. He wasn't part of their gang, but he heard the screaming going on. Mm-hmm. Why is the media so obsessed with this? Well, I have a whole chapter on the Central Park rape in my book, Mugged, and
we just have 60 seconds left, so I think you get the point. Just a few more things about the Central Park 5. There's a piece in the Daily Beast by Edward Conlon. Edward Conlon was a detective with the NYPD. And he wrote a piece called The Myth of the Central Park 5. And says, did they all involve false confessions? Which is the argument right now. They were so intimidated, so scared that they confessed to crimes they didn't commit, even though their parents were there. Their rights were read. They confessed. Here's what Conlon, ex-NYPD detective, said. This is in October of 2014. Testimony was what made this case, chiefly the confessions of...
What is this dude Anthony talk? What are you talking about? You just been in here been posting a lot of crazy shit. What are you talking about, man? Follow along, man.
Young men. Santana, McCrae, and Richardson made video statements in the presence of a parent or guardian.
Y'all go to these pro-black motherfuckers and tell them to tap in. They not gonna face this. I'm coming with too many facts.
And Wise made several statements on his own as the law permits. Salam told the police he was 16 and produced ID to that effect, allowing police to interrogate him without a parent. After his mother arrived and...
Dion, you said you was wondering the same thing. I'm like, what the hell is he posting? Niggas just be bored. Go be bored somewhere else with that dumb shit. You're posting hearts and candies and... I thought he was trying to mac on somebody in here. I thought he was trying to get at Miriam or something. I have dominion over the beast in the field. All right, man. This is getting creepy, man. You're going to get timed out for this, man. One more creeped out post, man. You're getting timed out. Mods, do your job.
found out that he was not at 16, the questioning ended, but his oral admissions were admitted into testimony. In addition to the confessions, one of the other boys, while in the back of the patrol car, cried that he didn't do the murder, but that he knew who did. Antron McCrae. The boy beside him, Kevin Richardson, agreed. Antron did it. The jogger.
So they told on Antron before they even got to the precinct. When you hear the story, it's like, yeah, they caught him, and then they are being forced. They forced Antron to confess, and his daddy made him do it too. It's just all over the place. When you look at that movie, you're gonna be fucked up. When I start showing you this shit, you gotta look at this shit first. Then go watch that movie. Like, none of this shit lines up with the shit that's actually on footage.
Jogger hadn't yet been found. Later on, after Raymond Santana had been interrogated about the rape, he was being driven to another precinct. Again, without prompting, he blurted out, "I had nothing to do with the rape. All I did was feel her," and he used a colloquial expression for breasts.
And I tell you, there were some fondlers there.
Allowing police to interrogate him without a parent. After his mother arrived and it was found out that he was not at 16, the questioning ended, but his oral admissions were admitted into testimony. In addition to the confessions, one of the other boys, while in the back of the patrol car, cried that he didn't do the murder, but that he knew who did. Antron McCrae. The boy beside him, Kevin Richardson, agreed. Antron did it.
Okay, so this is in the squad car. So they get picked up for a totally separate crime. The people in the cops that picked them up didn't know nothing about this until these niggas start opening their mouth.
The jogger hadn't yet been found. Later on, after Raymond...
See, a lot of people got it confused as though they got picked up for the jogger. No, they got picked up for all the beatings and all the crazy shit going on in the park, and they rounded up everybody. They told about the jogger. Then they had to go and send the police back to go find this jogger.
Santana had been interrogated about the rape. He was being driven to another precinct. Again, without prompting, he blurted out, "I had nothing to do with the rape. All I did was feel her," and he used a colloquial expression for breasts. There was one witness whose statement had not been solicited by the police. Melanie Jackson, the older sister of a friend of Corey Weiss, talked to him after he called the house.
Older sister of a friend of Corey Weiss. He talked too damn much, especially on the phone. We don't get to ask these motherfuckers these questions when y'all be bringing them on Good Morning America, when y'all be bringing them on Hot 97, when y'all be bringing them on, you know what I'm saying, Oprah. Y'all not asking them these questions. And they don't even have responses to these questions because they've never been asked to them.
From Rikers Island. Got it? Melanie Jackson, older sister of a friend of Corey Weiss, talked to Corey Weiss after he called the house from Rikers Island. When she expressed her dismay about the rape, Weiss said that he'd only held the jogger down. Jackson volunteered this information.
Now, hold on. He told her, somebody who did not get picked up, this is Corey Wise, the little short motherfucker. We can't go back. We're not going back. The one that signed that interview in Harlem. See, this is why they not going to watch this. He already booked in Rikers Island. He told her all he did was that. But these niggas tell me that he wasn't even there. He just implicated himself being there by saying to a girl on the phone that all he did was hold her down. The same thing he said in the damn confession. And there's transcripts of that and we're going to get into it. Just relax, church.
To detectives just before the trial in the mistaken belief that it would help Wise. When ordered to take the stand, she wept, but she still swore that the conversation had occurred just as she'd said. In his authoritative 19...
Oh, she said this in court. Funny how all of these motherfuckers who are these investigators and, you know, doxers and diggers for the truth, nobody is investigating this girl who was on the stand, who said what was said on that call in court. Crazy work.
92 account of the trial's unequal verdicts, Timothy Sullivan relates that the prosecution thought her a perfect witness, but jurors oddly chose not to credit her testimony in their deliberations. 13 years later, after the boys had served between 6 and 13 years in prison, a man named Matthias Reyes confessed to the rape, and DNA evidence later established that his was the only semen sample recovered from the scene. Though the brutality of the attack on the Central Park jogger staggered the public imagination.
And people act like he doesn't have a motive to eat that case and say he was just all him. I'm pretty sure if you all do some real digging, I'm curious to see what his commissary looked like. Who put money on his books? Who took care of his family? What is with this Anthony guy? Hey, yo, boot the Anthony guy, man. Boot him, man. Boot him, man. Boot him. You're just getting, it's just pointless at this point, man. We trying to over here talk about some real shit. You playing. Go play with the streamers or some shit, man. Go play with those clowns. Go play with just pearly things or something, my nigga. Go play with that dumb shit, man. God damn, nigga, distracting the real shit, man. But people act like dude don't have no motive, man. I'm curious. If somebody do some real digging, man, that's why I've told you, it's best that these niggas shut up. Because one day somebody's going to dig in and see if Matea's mom got hit off with a bag, his brother, sister, somebody got hit off with a bag. You know? Because you got to think about it. He knows the truth. He still can come out and do a whole nother interview and tell y'all why he did what he did. The real reason why he did what he did. And fuck their life up anyway. I'm pretty sure they're taking care of him. He still knows their dirty little secret. I'm sure he's taking care of them.
It was a lesser example of Reyes's viciousness. He was convicted of raping 4 women and killing one of them who was pregnant while her young children were in the apartment. With some of them, he cut them around the eyes to prevent them from identifying him. He also admitted to sexually assaulting his mother. His own lawyer called him the devil after Reyes attacked him during sentencing.
This nigga's wild. Matea's rise is wild.
A defense psychiatrist concluded that Reyes was not capable of telling the truth. Then the article talks about the rebuttal that was provided by Michael Armstrong, a former federal
This nigga sexually assaulted his own mama, man. This nigga's wild, man.
Prosecutor and chief counsel to the Knapp Commission in the 1970s. He was appointed by Police Commissioner Raymond Kelly to a 3-man panel that included the Deputy Commission for Legal Affairs and another.
Yeah, if you follow that money, you're gonna find the truth. They found, and I'm gonna tell you who really helps criminals move money, man. Lawyers. A lot of lawyers are just as crooked as the criminals they represent. I bullshit you not, man. Cause every one of you can't tap their conversations. Lawyers are the smoothest criminals because they got immunity to talk to motherfuckers. They can send, like, to get a message to another motherfucker, send a lawyer. Hit your lawyer, tell your lawyer. They can't record you and your lawyer talking. You can send your lawyer to go tell another lawyer to talk to that lawyer to get the message back to another motherfucker. That's how shit gets done. Lawyers do play both sides. So when you say it's gonna be hard to find the money, the lawyers can move that money around. The lawyers can move that money around. If somebody from Mexico want to get a message to El Chapo, they're gonna use the lawyer. If Chapo want to get a message to Mexico, he'll use his lawyer.
Independent attorney. The document had no legal standing, but was offered as a rebuke to some of the assertions made by those who claim the Central Park joggers were innocent. He concludes the legal arguments in this rebuttal relating to vacating the convictions, but disputes the either-or position that the guilt of Reyes proved the innocence of the five. Instead, the panel offered the theory that is the most probable that there was an overlap between the two, and Reyes either joined an earlier assault on the jogger and remained, or was attracted by her screams and jumped in after the hit-and-run violence typical of what had been inflicted on other victims.
And that's why I told everybody, we might be using the wrong word, but we can't, the wrong R word. So let's use responsible. You all are responsible for the rape. You perverts are responsible.
End of quote. New York Times headline, January 28, 2003, boys guilt likely in rape of jogger, police panel says. Panel disputed the claim that Matias Reyes, a convicted killer and serial rapist, that he alone had raped the jogger. Also concluded that there was no misconduct in the 1989 investigation.
And when the cops heard his confession that he was acting alone, they and see, here's the thing. The lady, oh my God, this is why I can't stand old niggas, man. This is what really frustrated me about this conversation I had with Sarnetta. The lady said she was attacked by a bunch of boys. They are bought and sold this whole story that he did it all alone. Now, think about this. If the lady is saying she was attacked by a whole bunch of men and blacked out, now, 13 years later, here comes a guy who says he acted all alone on the attack and he hit her with a branch. His story don't even match up with her story on being attacked. She remember a group of boys before the damn blackout. But when Mateus go in here and confess that he did it all alone, you niggas buy that shit? Brother Jabari, all you motherfuckers, y'all believe that shit? The lady said she was attacked by a group of niggas. And then blacked out. Can't identify, but there was a bunch of them. He said he did this shit by himself. So what did she get? I was attacked and swarmed by a bunch of people. If she was lying, she would just say, he did it, he did it, he did it. That's what a lying motherfucker do. She didn't even positively identify none of them. So it's like, oh, the lady's lying. If she was a liar, she would have just said, he did it, he did it, he did it, he did it. She said it was a bunch of people, but I can't remember What they look like, she can't give it a strip because she blacked out. Half her fucking brains was knocked out of her head. But she for surely didn't. Why wouldn't she just say, okay, one person did it? Who's the one person? Any, mini, miny, mo, that nigga. She could have did that. It doesn't make sense. And then the boys are saying they seen him take a Walkman. What are we talking about? They beat the lady up. He's eating the case.
To some of the assertions made by those who claim the Central Park joggers were innocent. He concludes the legal arguments in this rebuttal relating to vacating the convictions, but disputes the either-or position that the guilt of Reyes proved the innocence of the five. Instead, the panel offered the theory that is the most probable that there was an overlap between the two, and Reyes either joined an earlier assault on the jogger and remained, or was attracted by her screams and jumped in after the hit-and-run violence typical of what had been inflicted on other victims. End of quote. New York Times headline, January 28, 2003, boys guilt likely in rape of jogger, police panel says. Panel disputed the claim that
hit the like button, and share right now on your Facebook page.
That Matias Reyes, a convicted killer and serial rapist, that he alone had raped the jogger. Also concluded that there was no misconduct in the 1989 investigation, that the five men whose convictions were thrown out by the judge had most likely participated in the beating and rape of the jogger. It was compiled by, quote, two prominent New York lawyers, Michael F. Armstrong and Jules A. Martin, and Stephen L. Hammerman, Deputy Police Commissioner for Legal Affairs. Report also constituted the police department's counterpoint to the motion last month by the DA that recommended a dismissal of the convictions of the five men. So the police, as in the Jussie Smollett case, stand by their evidence, say we did nothing wrong, hired a panel of distinguished people.
You do know there was a period of time where everybody believed Jussie Smollett and got made a fool of, right? I knew the case was bullshit when they said it was two black men walking down Lower Wacker with MAGA hats on. Not in Chicago doing no blizzard. Are you crazy? Not even MAGA Scullies? Oh my God. Not even MAGA Scullies? They were walking around with these. They were walking around with these. During a winter vortex, Kamala Harris and every liberal Democrat pull up their tweets. Michelle Obama, all these motherfuckers. You're walking around Lower Wacker, a black man with this hat on, in a winter vortex, not even a Scully. Chicago is beyond cold, especially by the lake. Are you kidding me? Talk about frostbite. It's so cold around there, your fingers will fall off. You ever had your fingers ever been so cold they sting? You can't feel them no more, they sting. It hurt. Like this is the Chicago got the type of weather. Like when we used to have snowball fights, we used to throw snowballs so our fingers were hurting. And it used to hurt for days. You just had to put your hand by the radiator. You ain't from the neighborhood if you ain't never had a radiator in your apartment. You motherfuckers. We had a furnace, nigga. We had radiators, nigga. You know what I mean? You know how many kids growing up in the 90s got radiator burns on their arm, man? Dirty folks, tell them about that radiator, man. know about that radiator, man. Motherfucker hit that radio. Ah, shit! I told your ass, that's what you get. That's all your mama gonna say. That's what you get. You know, black mother like, oh, you be sitting there crying. That's what you get. I told you about running around out. They give you a long out. You sitting there, That's black parenting, my nigga. They walk around, but all them niggas believe Jussie Smollett, man. They believe that bullshit. Fucking crazy, man. Corey Wise, man, I'm telling you, he pulled off a big scam, man. You know, big scam.
You hear about Corey Wise in relation to the Central Park 5 case is the myth that he was not in the park at all. And we're going to address that in a minute. But I also wanted to address someone.
We're going to get into this, man. We're going to go back to the documentary, too, in a few.
Who made a comment in one of my comment sections about Corey Wise and said that Corey Wise wasn't on the list. His name wasn't on the list in terms of people who were in the park that night. You know, because of the...
So they had a list. The cops had to go looking for kids. Because why? Because kids were telling on each other. Corey and Yusuf got away.
When they see this Netflix series, a lot of people think that.
And people in the neighborhood were saying that the cops were looking for. When Corey was going around, kids was like, hey, man, you got to get the hell away from us. The cops looking for you. So what the cops looking for you for if you wasn't there? Somebody said you was there. Out of 37 motherfuckers, why you? Enough motherfuckers must have said you for them to come looking for you.
So I came across this interview. This person told me that.
And truthfully, if all of them would have kept their mouth shut, they had a weak case. The cops really had a weak case. They really had nothing to really go on. If all of them would have shut up, we wouldn't be talking about this to this day.
Shut the fuck up! Corey Wise wasn't on the list and that there were two Coreys and that...
See, Sarnetta was interviewing this motherfucking pervert. Gotta stop letting these motherfuckers infiltrate, man. A lot of perverts and sex offenders and registered rapists have been coming into the fold. No, that's why I had to get myself up out of that red pill space with these certain niggas. There's some niggas I'm cool with, but like, it's a lot of crazy shit going on. Because I seen niggas letting a registered sex offender go at me. I'm like, goddamn, y'all ride with that nigga? You know, then the brother Polites and all this crazy shit. I'm like, man, I got to get out of the black space with you niggas and start my own movement.
Corey Wise was not known as Polo. And I found this.
Hold on, let's go back. I want y'all to hear what this brother said, because we're going to go through the documents in a second.
Was not known as Polo. And a lot of people think
this nigga does talk like he eat Creoles, man.
That. So I came across this interview. This person told me that Corey Wise wasn't on the list and that there were two Coreys.
And this guy, he got them real tendencies too. I'm going to tell you why. He got two brothers that's his sisters. One of them died. You know, so he got a crazy mama and he got two transgenital brothers that he grew up with. Single mom. That's what they produce. That's what he was. That's what he lived with. A transgender brother. Two of them. His big brother and his little brother, both transgenders. And a crazy ass mother, man. Single mother. And single motherhood ain't the problem.
And that Corey Wise was not known as Polo. And I found this interesting interview. Let's take a look.
On the 21st of April, company Mr. Yusuf Salon, who I will
All right, hold on. You know what? I'm ready to get ignorant, man. I'm ready to get ignorant. We on YouTube. They bullshitting on YouTube right now. So I need y'all to come on over to the Rumble. We about to, the people on Rumble, stay on Rumble. The link is at the top of the chat for the Rumble. Y'all hit the link to the Rumble. I'm shutting down the YouTube. We going over to Rumble right now. Yeah, you already know. Church check in. Yeah, man. Listen, if you want to see the rest of this exclusive content, you gotta go over to my Rumble page. The link is in the description. Go over to Rumble right now. Uncut, raw, unfiltered, straight cooking. You already know. Migrating over to Rumble, so y'all better follow, subscribe now. Also, make sure you follow me on Twitter. Get right or get left. We out.